So I need a way to calibrate all of my devices before I send them out, especially the music devices, because uh, after assembly, it's mechanical parts inside, so ranges change a little bit, and I want to make sure everything has a smooth, full range. This is one of my pitch controllers. Um, so I built something for myself to help me do that calibration process. But it's also something that can be exposed to the user, especially after you do firmware updates where it's going to wipe existing settings and you want to recalibrate. So this could be used for recalibration. It could also be used so that the user can change settings. So if they want to change the speed of something or the sensitivity of something, and this is where I'm speaking more to my assistive technology folks. So what I did is I wrote in my code, and I do this for all of these devices. I have it monitors the serial port. And so what this device is doing is not only outputting USB MIDI, but it's also outputting USB plain serial. And so I have code in there that shows up a little menu, allows them to perform commands and whatnot. Now, one of the initial drags with this was that you would have to install a serial monitor, a serial terminal, right, to access it. But fortunately, technology has moved ahead. And if you have any browser that's Chromium, and so this will work on Windows or Mac or Linux, you could do this. So you open up a site called Serial Terminal. This is what somebody put together, really super handy site if you need to do serial debugging. And the process is really pretty straightforward. You do, first you hit connect and you have to find your device. And you can see this is the 7 Mile Mountain pitch controller. And you'll notice what I do here on my Arduino devices is I create a custom boards.local.txt file. So I rename the device so it doesn't just say Cutie Pie or whatever. It actually shows the name of the controller. This came about because of necessity, where users would have multiple of my devices. Thank you very much for buying multiple devices. But they needed to be able to know, okay, is this one or is it that one? So I label them pitch A, pitch B, pitch C, whatever. So anyhow, so you hit connect, and then I'm going to send a question mark through or enter, and it will show you the current version of the firmware that's on here, when it was compiled, and it has the available commands. Now on this one I have a calibrate and some resets and restarts and things like that, and debug mode toggling on and off. So if I go into, let's say I go to something more complicated like debug mode, a user would not normally do this. In this case, I'm having it just dump the red values and this is the actual analog read followed by what the MIDI is, and this is pitch bend, so it goes from 0 to 1023 on that. So let me turn this off real quick. So let's say I wanted to calibrate. So in this case, I would just hit P, enter, and I have a little message saying, hey, you're going to have to move it around for a while, and then it starts the sample. So here in this case, I move it around, and this is more information than a user would ever need, but I show the 12-bit, 14-bit. I add a wiggle room for safety factor, and the code also is smart enough to know what an expected range is. So if it sees a range that it doesn't think is any good, it will discard it. It won't save it, which is handy. So you can build in those safety features. So that's kind of how I handle recalibrating in the field or some more in-depth debugging in the field. I could restart the controller. I could restart it in UF2 mode if somebody wants to do a firmware update, and that sort of thing. So why didn't I use something like WebHID or other things that people use for HID devices? Well, because I'm in the business of making more than just HID devices. And a MIDI is not HID. So I needed a consistent way to do calibration across HID devices, non-HID devices, or anything in between. And doing this kind of old school serial was really the best way. And also because it's on its own serial channel, if there's something wonky going on with MIDI or HID for that matter, I could still get to it. So I could still get to it even if that stuff is acting up. So it's a fallback on that. So this is my recommendation for if you want to allow users to occasionally change settings. It's not beautiful, I admit, but it also means that the user doesn't have to install anything on their computer. They go to a website, they connect to the device, and they follow the menu commands. And it's turned out to be really, really handy for the work I'm doing.